Hey everybody, this is News from Heaven. If you were to go to the afterlife right now and you were looking around and saw some angels and you said, hey, guess what? This is on earth, this is what we think about love. This is how we do it, and this is our opinion, especially around what it is to love, each other, but God as well. And they would spit take. They would be shocked to learn what passes for love around here. You keep using that word love. I don't think you know what that means. Well, I mean, that's the experience that Emanuel Swedenborg had and recorded. He said that there's a key element of what love is that we don't understand. He wrote about this in Heaven and Hell 16. As I understand it, what love is in its entirety, because there's a feeling component to it, but it has a whole matrix or a whole progression that it needs to be what it really is in essence. Love is doing what someone else would want in a state where you're not compelled to do that at all. Where you're just doing it because you're thinking about, oh, they would love that. That would make their day. So let's see what Swedenborg found out about this when he talked to these angels. I have talked with angels about this on a number of occasions. They have expressed their astonishment that church people do not know this. So people who have a religious idea of God don't know that to love the Lord, and to love one's neighbor is to love what is good and true and to do them intentionally. Well, you know what? Intentionally get something as well. They're shocked. Love, the word love is in everybody's mouth. You can't find any ideology that doesn't talk about how it loves something and how it's acting from love. That people got the message that that's what people want to hear. Everybody's talking about how we're doing this because we stand for love. You got two people who are trying to do the exact opposite things in the world. We're doing this for love. We're doing this for love. I'm going to kill you. Anybody can say love, that word, but what actions go with it? And this can especially be a bit of an issue when you're talking about God and saying, I love God. I'm religious. I'm spiritual. I love God. What does that mean to love God? And we're in the right place asking because angels are love experts. They are, if there's a master class, that thing you see commercials for where it's like, here, meet your new instructor, and it's some celebrity and they're saying, I'm going to teach you how to do the celebrity stuff that I do. Angels would do the master class on love. Angel is a step in human growth. So you have childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, whatever I am now, then being old, and then in the afterlife, the next step is angel. If you figure this love thing out, or if you want the love thing to happen in your life, if you say, that's it's worth pursuing. So all the angels are love experts. So they've got this love all around them. And they're saying that we don't know that loving the Lord and loving the neighbor, so all the love that we talk about, is to love what is good and what is true and to do them intentionally. That's what the love is. It's not just feel it, you have to do it intentionally. But you can twist that a million ways. Let's get a little clearer. They should realize, though, that we demonstrate our love by intending and doing what someone else wants. This is how we become loved in return. Not by, quote, scare quotes, loving the other and not doing what the other wants. In essence, that is not loving at all. Okay. I feel like we just received a box, but it's wrapped. We have to unpack this box. Because it's saying something, but we want to make sure that we get it right. Doing what someone else wants. The first red flag is the doormat flag. You're telling me that if I love someone, they just boss me around and I just do whatever they want anytime that they say it. Isn't that called enabling? What about myself? Love can't exist outside freedom. Anything that you do when you're not in a state of full freedom, it can be something, but it's not love. And freedom can be impinged on in any number of ways. So it could be, let's say that you have a person and you know that if you don't do this thing, they'll get mad at you for not doing it. Sure, you might need to do that thing. Maybe there's a good reason they would get mad at you if you didn't do it. But that might be fine and good, but it's not love. Because you're not doing the thing because of love, you're doing it because of, you've got to. There's some kind of threat attached. Could be the same thing with God. If I don't do these things, I'm going to get lightning bolted. If in society I can't go through this red light because I might get hit, that's fine. Those are all things, but they're not love. Love exists only in a state of freedom. So the thing that is love only happens. It's a delicate bird that can only nest when conditions are just right, and that is when there's no pressure of any kind. So in the moments, we have to put pressure on each other. We have to put pressure. We have to say, "Hey, did you remember to do that thing? We're working on the same team. I need you to do." That's fine. But in the moments where there's not that pressure, when you say, "Hey, I want to do what I know this person would want because I know that would be good for them and to them." That's what love is. So the doormat thing, if you spend your entire life having other people sort of force you to do things for them through whatever means, whatever psychological manipulation, or it's asking, that's something, but it's not love. So we're not asking you to be a doormat. On the flip side, you can't say that you have love in your heart for someone and then not do what you know they would want if you've really got the option for it. The best example I could think of was, think about somebody who loves nature. John Muir? He was one of the first major conservationists. He would walk around, I think it was Yosemite, and he would just look at all these animals and birds. He was crazy about it. He loved it. He was trying to stop this valley from getting dammed up and flooded and all that. And let's say you knew John Muir, and you knew that his heart was in the woods. He just loved being out there and loved the animals and wanted to save that for the future. Let's say you were some super rich business magnate and you bought all the land that he wanted preserved, and you had a choice. You could flood it and develop it and do everything he didn't want you to do, and you would make some money, but you do have the option to not do that and save what he was looking to keep. If you were to say, I really love you, John Muir, and I'm just going to develop all this stuff anyway. Do you love John Muir then? Every morning I look in the mirror and I say, do I really love John Muir? Do you understand what I'm talking about? There is something about doing what someone else wants. There's an element of that in love. Because you can sit here and say, I love all the people around me, but I'm absolutely never going to go out of my way to give anything of myself. When I have an opportunity to do something, I do something for me. And I've been meditating on this since we've been leading up to this show. I'm trying to picture, what is this really like? And I think the best description of it I can give is when you're in some situation and you have any actions you're doing that somehow would affect a person that you love, you for a moment start imagining how they would feel in that situation. Like how would these actions I'm taking here, what ripple effect would that have on this person? Oh, you know what, I don't want to do that because that would really hurt their feelings. And I know if I did that, they would be so happy when they walk in this room. And so I'm going to go and do it. I think that's love. I think that's some important part of love. So let's take that person-to-person love of the neighbor, which is great. And now let's look at how that applies to our love for God. Because it can be kind of disorienting to be commanded to love an invisible deity. Unless you've seen God, then I'm jealous. But what do you mean love God? How do you do that? It's the same pattern. They should also realize that the good that comes from the Lord is in the Lord's own likeness, because he is within it. When you did that thing, when you did what I was just describing, where you thought, really, what can I do for someone just because I'm thinking about the good it does for them, and then you went and did that action, and I saw you do it. You know who you reminded me of? That totally reminded me of God. That's just what God would do. Within goodness, within that sacred little space where you decide, like, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to do this thing that's great. Somehow we see in that more clearly than anything else the nature of God. So anytime we go and do something good, we are imitating or emulating or working with God. Somehow in the nature of the act. Like, you couldn't just say, here's God, God looks like that. But if you took a whole sequence where a kid had dropped their ice cream and you were saying, here you go, here's my ice cream, you can have it, even though I kind of really did want that ice cream, but you're a kid. So somehow in the totality, you can see a picture. You see something that reminds you of God, of the divine human, and what he would have done in that situation. Okay, we're getting somewhere with loving God. We become likenesses of him and are united to him when we make what is good and what is true matters of our lives by doing them intentionally. Since intending something is loving to do it. That's how you love God, is you do the things that you know God would love. With any given person that you love, there's a certain percentage of your life that may impact them. And if I do this thing here, this will make this person happy. So that's great. I'm going to do it. This thing over here doesn't really. God is invested everywhere in everything because every single person is of great importance to God. So anytime you do anything good for anyone, or you do anything that leads you into a state of usefulness where you can do good, anytime you choose what is good and true, that is doing what God loves. That is loving God. That is the act, the closing sequence of loving God. The Lord teaches that this is true, says it right out there when he says, those who have my commandments and do them are the ones who love me, and I will love them and make my dwelling with them. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love. So you love someone by doing what they would want to have happen, just because you want to do good to them, not because they're forcing you. God doesn't force anyone to do anything, and God wants everything good to happen. So anytime we go out there and do what's good, you did it. You loved God. And notice that loving of God holds the love of everyone else within it, because everything that you would do to love God directly involves what you would do to love the person that you're doing something good to, because that's what God cares about. There's nothing else that interests God. He's not like, well, that's cool, but I really want to get a 1969 Model T something. Wasn't Model T like 1915? Anyway, he doesn't. That's what he wants for Father's Day is the love of everyone that exists, the happiness of everyone, not just love like, oh, I love you, but I'm not doing it. The happiness, like we will rest when everybody is most fully and profoundly happy. That's what God's into. So the more we work towards that, and the more that we do that, that's how you love God. A lot of people will talk about love, and a lot of religious people will talk about, I love God, but we're not doing the commandments. We're not doing the commandments. We're not shunning and running away from murder and the hatred and everything that lies within murder. We're not running away from theft and everything that we do to harm each other. Not doing those because we know, if God was in the room, which God always is, it would really hurt his feelings to see us doing that, let alone other people's feelings. Okay, so I'm not going to do it. That's love. That is the closing the love loop. And the more that we do that, the more that we become these likenesses of God, and people say, oh, that reminds me of God, or maybe gives people a picture, like, oh, that's what God is like. So love is good. Let's see if we can't get it. Let's bring back knowledge of the love in the world, so that by the time we all go to the afterlife and we tell the angels, this is how you love on earth, and they're like, nice, bro, that's just right on. Thanks.